For a chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2. Or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry. Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This election night, we're putting on a party.
And you are invited.
We'll be here with you.
Following all the twists and turns.
As well as all the live reaction from our election night watch party.
With our GB News lineup.
And as morning breaks, we'll be here with breakfast from 6 a.m.
As it becomes clear who the winners and the losers really are.
Vote 2024.
Thursday, the 4th of July.
Only on GB News.
Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates.
You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
It's 8 p.m. and this is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Ben Leo, talking everything but politics until 10 p.m. That's right, it's a politics-free zone, UK politics at least, for the next 2 hours. How does that sound to you, Mr. Joe Biden?
If we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
What do you reckon? Should Joe Biden step aside in the US presidential race? We'll be covering that tonight on the show. Plus, where the hell is Jay Slater?
Jay posted this Snapchat saying that he'd taken a £12,000 Rolex from a person.
And some serious news for you. How much do you think you'd get for videos of your feet? Grim, grim, grim. Well, Lily Allen is now flogging pictures of her feet on OnlyFans for £8 a month. We'll be discussing the weird fetish with another OnlyFans model, and if you're lucky, I may get my trotters out. My panel is fired up and ready to go tonight. It's Lewis Oakley, Paula London and Chloe Dobbs. So get yourself a drink, get some snacks and strap yourselves in. Also tonight, very much looking forward to this. A former England football star will be looking ahead to this weekend's Euro 2024 quarter-final, England against Switzerland. Will we make the semi-finals? Find out after the news.
Ben, thank you. Good evening to you. Voting in the general election is entering its final few hours as millions of people head to the polls to choose the next government. It's the first time voter ID has been required after new rules were introduced last year. 650 constituencies are being contested, with around 46 million people eligible to cast their vote. And from 5 to 10 tonight, we'll have all the reaction and the results live, in fact, throughout the night, right here on GB News. Now, in other news today, the television presenter Holly Willoughby has praised the bravery of victims for speaking out during the case of a security guard who's been found guilty today of a graphic plot to kidnap her. In a statement, she said women shouldn't be made to feel unsafe going about their lives or in their homes. Gavin Plum has 2 previous convictions for attempted kidnap and 2 for false imprisonment after holding 2 16-year-old girls at knife point. The 37-year-old told jurors that he was disgusted and shocked that his dark online conversations about attacking the television presenter had come out, but insisted the plot was just a fantasy. However, DCI Greg Wood from Essex Police says Plum is a dangerous, predatory individual.
His claims in court that he was a fantasist are simply not true and were evidenced by the extent with which he plotted with others to carry out his wicked plan. Gavin Plum also has a history of attacking other women, attempting to kidnap them using weapons and threats of violence. He is a dangerous man, and I have no doubt he was determined to carry out the acts as he planned.
A former schoolteacher who had sex with 2 boys has been jailed for 6.5 years. Rebecca Joins groomed the teenagers from the age of 15 and became pregnant by one of them. One of the boys said he was coerced and manipulated by the 30-year-old. The parents of both her victims watched as she broke down in tears while her sentence was read out today at Manchester Crown Court. Now, scientists are warning people that using the popular weight loss jab like Ozempic could be at high risk of losing their sight. New research suggests patients on the medication called semaglutide may be more susceptible to a condition that causes blindness. Those affected can suffer sudden loss of vision in one eye, but without any pain, and it's often discovered while they're waking up. In the United States, President Biden will attempt to reassure key allies today that he can win November's US elections when he attends today's Independence Day events. President Biden hosting the 4th of July barbecue at the White House. He's going to address the families of veterans there, and it comes after he met with state governors from the Democratic Party last night who say he is fit for office, and what's more, he has their backing. Among them was the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who some see as an alternative for the Democratic ticket. He's due to campaign on behalf of the president in Michigan, a crucial state in Joe Biden's bid for re-election. Now, in sport, another British number 1 has been bettered by the number 2 as Cameron Norrie defeated Jack Draper at Wimbledon today. The former semi-finalist winning on straight sets on court 1 to book his place in the 3rd round at the All England Club. Earlier, in an all-British women's tie, Katie Boulter went out in 3 sets against Harriet Dart, and 3-time Grand Slam champion Andy Murray's out on centre court for his final campaign, having thrown the towel in on the singles and partnering up instead with his brother Jamie in the men's doubles. They're currently down 1 set. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Polly Middlehurst. I'm back in an hour. See you then.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you, Polly, and welcome to you all at home. This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo. I'm joined by my top panel tonight, social commentator Chloe Dobbs, broadcaster Paula London, and broadcaster and author Lewis Oakley. Now, look, as I said, there's no politics, not until 9:55 p.m. anyway. As soon as the polls close, we will be going to our watch party in Essex. Patrick Christys and Jubes are there with a massive audience of viewers, and also all the coverage throughout the night with top analysts with Camilla and Stephen Dixon. So hang around for that. Until then, though, just as a reminder, there is no politics. So if you're wondering why, and I know a few of you are asking on gbnews.com/you'll say, that's the reason. Anyway, we've got a cracking few days of sport ahead of us, not least the big one this weekend where England take on Switzerland in the quarter-finals of Euro 2024. I'm pleased to say we're joined by former England and Liverpool goalkeeper Chris Kirkland. Good evening, Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. First of all, let's get the analysis of England out of the way. We've had a pretty scrappy couple of games thus far in the tournament. As a former pro, do you think we're going to change mentality this weekend? Will Gareth Southgate, the manager, let the players free and cut the shackles loose?
Good evening. Yeah, I know it's been a big topic in it, but listen, we've not played well and we're still in the tournament. So that, for me, bodes well. You know, if we can pick up the performances, listen, we're going to need to do that. If we are going to go on and win it, we need to play a lot better. But they'll know that. But to still be in it at this stage, listen, we knew we were going to get through the group, or we should have got through the group. We did that. But now it's knockout football now, so we have to play better. The players will know that themselves. But we've got a hell of a chance, just like all the teams that are left in the competition at the minute. But yeah, obviously Saturday night is going to be different. There's talk about him changing formation, personnel. I like the look of the formation that's been talked about today. It's sort of like the 3-5-2, if you like it, or 3-5-1, whatever they're going to play. So I'm hoping that is the team. I'd quite like to see Anthony Gordon come into the team. I think you need that in knockout football. You need that one person who's going to run in behind, and he's done that for Newcastle. He finished, a brilliant season for Newcastle. I think that's something we've lacked in these first few games. There's been no runners for the big position. Obviously, left back is hampered us. Kieran Trippier's done admirable job there, but not having a natural left-sided left back is definitely, hopefully, not going to cost us. But I think that's what has unsettled us in the first few games. But listen, all that's gone now. All they'll be focusing on is Saturday. And listen, I don't mind if we play absolutely rubbish again, as long as we go through. I don't mind if we play rubbish every game and go on and win it.
You do get some football Puritans. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm used to the Wenger years. I mean, you do get some Puritans who, I'd rather win in a beautiful way than just scrape 1-0 wins. But Chris, you've spoken publicly before about your previous mental health problems, depression and so on. Do you think there's any role that the media plays or the public on this current squad of England players when it comes to the pressure of trying to win a major international tournament?
Well, listen, we've seen it, haven't we? It's been every tournament, I think. The pressure's built up, the expectation. England, this is the best chance they've had in how many years, which is possibly right. You look at the squad, and I don't think there's many better squads in the Euros than our squad, but that doesn't give you the right to go on and win it. You've got to earn that right. And listen, we're still in it at the minute. But listen, I just think social media is a poisonous place. No matter. Listen, for me, 95% of it is a poisonous place. You can use social media for the benefit of, to highlight certain things and to do good with it as well. But I just think the nature at the minute, the world we live in, people are always looking to criticise, no matter what you do. People are always looking to put you down. So the players, they've got to block that out. I don't know how much. I'm sure they're aware of it. They've all got phones and everything like that, and they've got to use that as a spur on. They've got to want to make the country proud. They've got to want to make their family proud. Playing for England's obviously a massive honour. It comes with big pressure. We know that. I think obviously the media is the media, and it's great at times, but also it can have a bit of a negative effect, and people can jump on what the media sort of say. Whether they agree with it or not. But like I said, that's just the world we live in. Yeah. Unfortunately, these days there's a lot of people ready to criticise no matter what. So listen, let's all get behind them. Let's all sing on Saturday. People are going out there, they're spending the hard-earned money to go and support the team. And the players will be very wary of that, but they've just got to block all that out and concentrate on the game. And if they do that with the players we've got and the ability we've got in that squad, I expect us to go through to the semi-final.
Yeah, Chris, you're not wrong. Social media is a cesspit at the best of times. But for viewers who don't know your background, I'll remind them of a story, a very funny story, where just remind us of it. Your father, when you were 11, he put a bet on that you were going to make the England squad as a goalkeeper when you were just a kid. Is that right? He got about 100 to 1 odds.
Well, it was to play for England. So it was when I was 13. So it was actually to play for England. Yeah, it was after my first game in goal because I was an outfielder to start with. So it was after my first game in goal, and it was to play for England before I was 30. So thankfully that happened. Never knew about the bet until the day before. He put it on when I was 13, and the old bet.
Oh, you never knew about it?
No, never knew about it. Never told me. I only found out by the press, off the press the day before the game. They asked me about it, and I said, "Listen, I've got no idea." So I've got no idea what you're talking about. So I rang my dad and he told me, but yeah, he kept the old betting slip in his pants drawer for 14 years. Came off.
And
but yeah, there's been bets and like that. There's been loads of sports bets like that. So thankfully that one come true.
And I guess he never told you what, just because he didn't want to put the pressure on you?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, listen, you know, my mum and dad were great, all supportive. You know, my dad worked long shifts, long hours, like a lot of people's families do. And whenever he'd come home absolutely knackered, I said, "Come on, let's go down the park, let's play football." And he'd always take me. He'd never pressure me to do it, or you know, he was very, very supportive with me. So it was really nice. All the family were there for my England debut, and yeah, it was a wonderful night and something I'm very proud of.
Great stuff, Chris Kirkland. Thank you. You're a gent. Appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of the tournament. Fingers crossed for Gareth and the team. Thank you, mate. Guys, panel, Paul of London, Chloe Dobbs, Lewis Oakley. Thoughts on England this weekend? Are you bothered? Do you even like football, Lewis?
I'm not the biggest football fan, but I want us to do well. It's a national pride thing, isn't it? So you kind of, you know, I've got a 15-year-old that absolutely loves football, and I want to see him happy, because him unhappy is not worth being in a house for.
I have to say, I do not watch football at all. I've tried to watch it a couple of times, and it's so boring just watching a ball move up and down the field. And then occasionally, once every few hours, someone scores a goal. Whereas tennis, someone, you know, the score changes every few seconds.
Oh,
so it's
tennis,
actually exciting.
I think it's so boring.
So, I'm sorry, I don't understand why the English love football.
You don't like
so
tennis,
much.
Paula?
Tennis would bore me to tears. I've never watched tennis, but football I do watch.
Tennis.
I don't have a team, but international games, like I was elated when two goals were scored, you know, the last minute or so. So yeah, I'll be watching the England game. Yeah,
I love football, but I'm a tennis man, and my kids play tennis. My boy plays tennis. I bang on about it all the time on the channel.
Have you got any bets on your kids?
Yeah, can we bet on him?
No, I haven't yet. But reading on that story about Chris Kirkland today, honestly, his dad, 100 to 1. They all put him and his other family members. I think they scooped about 10 grand each eventually when the money came in. So
as a dad, I should get in on this now while they're young.
I think so. I think I definitely will, because my boy, I'll say it, I don't care. He's pretty good at tennis. He's only 4, so I might be down the bookies. Look, talking of tennis, adding to the sporting extravaganza this weekend is the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, of course, but Wimbledon is coming to the end of week 1 with plenty of British interest still involved too. So let's get the thoughts of former British number 3 Barry Cowan. Barry, good evening. Can you hear me? There you are.
Yeah, good evening. You should definitely put a bet on your son, Ben.
Look, I'm not just saying it. I don't want to, you know, pat myself on the back, but he is pretty good. I think he's being watched by the LTA. Not sure where he gets it from. Not sure his mum, maybe me. But anyway, give us your wrap up on the first week of Wimbledon. I think there's Andy and Jamie are playing as we speak. Emma Raducanu, another British interest. She won yesterday or today, and also Katie Bolter. She went down to a fellow Brit. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been really unfortunate because the 2 British number 1s in Katie and also Jack Draper, they lost today against fellow British players. So it was really unfortunate for Jack Draper to play Cam Norrie. And Cam Norrie probably played one of the best matches of the year. So that was on court 1. And then there was an epic with Katie Bolter lost to Harriet Dar. There's always been a little bit of niggle between those two, which often is the case in all British clash. So that was a big surprise, Ben. The Murrays at the moment, they are set down in the doubles. But Raducanu was very, very good yesterday. Really impressed. And the fact that the draw, her little section of the draw opened up, Alexandrova, who she was meant to play, she pulled out in the first round. Raducanu plays Sakkari tomorrow. And the history about Sakkari is in really big matches, she can get tight. So Raducanu, absolutely, in her little section of the draw, if she plays like she did yesterday, she's got a great chance to go deep into the tournament, which would be great for all of us.
Yeah, Barry, I'm not sure if I'm just a bit mean, but I mean, my opinion on this was pretty much the consensus amongst a lot of other tennis fans. But when Emma Raducanu won her US Open Grand Slam some years ago now, I can't remember what year it was, but she then, from my perspective, went off and did lots of high-money brand deals. She went to Vogue parties in New York, and I kind of feel like she took her eye off the ball a bit. I'm not sure if I'm just being a bit mean saying that, but I'm so pleased now that she seems to have regained some form. What do you think happened in that period when, you know, after the US Open, when she kind of went off the boil? She had some injuries, of course. Have I got a point in feeling that, or was I just being a bit over the top?
No, you've got a point. I mean, how can it make sense that you win the US Open and then the week later you fire your coach? And that coach helped Raducanu. Obviously, it's ultimately down to the player, but the coach was definitely a part of that, Andrew Richardson. And it's well documented. Anyone that has followed Raducanu in the last few years, she has changed a lot of coaches. Of course, she had the injuries last year. I still feel that she's slightly underplayed this year. However, on the other side of it, Raducanu and the father and the mother will say, listen, we've always swapped coaches. We've always had coach for about a month and then moved on, because once we get that information, but there's no doubting her talents. But what has been the key this year is she has had the same coach, Nick Cavaday, from January the 1st. But I think your comments are absolutely fair, because what she has is an incredible mindset. We saw that at the US Open, incredible poise. And if the draw does open up, then she is certainly in with great chance. If she was to play one of the big hitters, I still feel that they would have absolutely too much for Raducanu, i.e. if she played a Coco Gauff, who potentially she got to the semi-finals. But you can imagine if she did make the semi-finals, the hysteria around Wimbledon if she was to reach the last four, and that might help her.
Well, I'm sure Emma couldn't give a fig what I think. So, yeah, fair play to her. I'm pleased to see that she's...
She doesn't give a damn what any of us think, then.
Exactly. Well, that's what we're paid for, I guess. Barry, thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. Guys, tennis. Andy Murray, potentially, if he loses this game tonight, he's got the doubles with Emma Raducanu, I think, at the weekend. But if he loses that, that's it for Andy at Wimbledon. Do you think he's a... Look, let me be frank. I'm going to lay my cards on the table. For me, he's a hero. When he won Wimbledon in 2013, I cried tears of happiness for him.
Did you actually?
I did. I'm happy to admit that. I think he's a sporting hero. When he lost Wimbledon in 2013, he went on to win the Olympics, then 2 other Wimbledon titles. I thought that showed guts. I thought it showed courage. And in the face of a lot of stick from the media as well, I just think, yeah, I really admire him.
Yeah, he's a super impressive man who's worked super hard. And we hear time and time again people saying, oh, this is going to be Andy Murray's last match, then he's going to quit tennis. But I don't feel like that's the case with him. Like, he's had his prime, but he just loves the sport so much that he loves to carry on and keep competing. You have other tennis players who like to leave on a high when they've won a championship, but he doesn't seem to care, and he likes to keep going even though he's not winning everything.
Paula, just briefly, does it matter that he's a bit of a grump and a bit of a miserable so-and-so?
Well, I don't think he's as grumpy as the other guy, because I saw a clip of one guy getting really angry and he was smashing.
He loves smashing tennis rackets.
He's very crazy. His knee was all swollen.
He's all robotic.
God,
he doesn't have any
crazy. That's the only thing that I've seen. I've never watched a
but
whole
he is a very good player.
tennis match. But I was like, God, that's kind of weird. So I might watch to see if he plays again and see if he does that.
Tennis all day for me. Football, love it, but tennis, yeah. Also, what else? What about this? Coming up later in the show, I'm not sure what I think about this, but Lily Allen, she's joined OnlyFans to sell pictures of her feet. We'll be discussing the latest phenomenon with foot model Nova Jules, and some people are calling for me to get my feet out on the show. I can tell you now, it's not happening. All the messages are flooding in, it's not happening. But next, should US President Joe Biden stand aside in the race for the White House over fears for his health? You're watching Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo, only on GB News.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Welcome back. Stefan Kyriazis has, as ever, been to the theatre and saw one of the most successful performers of the modern age, one who has made his name in different genres on television and is always a magnetic presence on the stage. About whom are we talking, Stefan?
We're talking about James Corden at the Old Vic for The Constituent and its Traverse staging. So audience on either side, and it's a fantastic experience. But also it's been done this time to bring everything in a lot and make it quite intimate, because you just have one simple set. It's just a table, office space. This is a new play by Joe Penhall, and it's addressing very, very current issues of safety, especially for people in public service. Doctors, nurses, teachers, and of course, as you know, politicians that are at risk and being attacked. So we have Joe Cox, Sir David Ames, and we have politicians talking about cancelling their surgeries, not wanting to appear in public, teachers being threatened. And James Corden plays an ex-serviceman who is going through a difficult divorce, dealing with a lot of PTSD, also feeling very much like fathers are overlooked, and he wants to fight for their rights. And an old school friend is a local MP, played by Anna Maxwell Martin. And he goes in to start talking to her, and it starts off quite chummy and jovial, and then it darkens and darkens. He gets quite aggressive and frustrated. She wants to help. She's an absolute idealist. This politician sense of we don't choose who we work for. You know, we are here by duty to work for everybody in our constituency. It spirals a lot. I have to say, Corden, sensational. Really? He really is a fantastic actor. Of all of them, he's so natural. And he has the most difficult role where his character is shifting all the time and becomes potentially quite threatening and dangerous. But then there's also a beautiful catharsis at the end.
The People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes and Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry. Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Ben Leo with you on Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News. Now, after a disastrous performance in last week's election debate with Donald Trump, even the lefty New York Times opinion columnists are calling for Joe Biden, the president, to step aside in the race for the White House. Let's remind ourselves of just how bad it was.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look. If we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
On the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Oh dear, it's hard not to feel sorry for Mr. Biden at this point. He's admitted that he did, quote, screw up, but he's reportedly told Democrat campaigners that he will not be leaving the election race and will carry on to fight. So Donald Trump, however, thinks otherwise. Let's take a look at this.
How did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, amazing.
Kicked that old broken down pile of
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
It's so amazing.
It's just so bad. So
I just can't imagine.
But can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy.
So to discuss this now, we're joined by media entrepreneur and podcast host Sky Oz striker and former chairman of the Californian Republican Party, Tom Beccaro, who's also the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Divided Era, which explains why the more government decides, the more it divides. That sounds a bit anarchy, Tom.
Well, in America, government's a part of every single moment of our lives, and we fight over it constantly. I hope you can avoid that over there after your next election.
OK, look, give us your thoughts on Joe Biden. Should he stay in the race? There's some rumours going around, some speculation online that actually it's his family, maybe Jill Biden, who's pushing him to stay in the race.
Well, I don't think there's any question of that. She's having the time of her life, loves the power, and is probably the power behind the throne. But the Democrats have put themselves in this box. They have wanted early voting in the United States for many years, and as a result, the deadlines to put a candidate on the ballot are already passing. In an important state, Nevada, June 28th was the deadline for naming your candidate, and that candidate was Joe Biden. So they have a huge problem with trying to change the laws of the many states they would have to change just to get someone other than Biden in this race. So I think he's going to wind up sticking there, even though it's not good for the country or the planet.
I mean, he doesn't seem to know what day of the week it is half the time. And I was speaking to someone else earlier. It wasn't just the debate last week where he admits he screwed up. He's admitted that himself. But I mean, going back years, for example, He couldn't walk up the stairs to Air Force One on the jet. He fell over 3 times. He confused wars in Iraq and Ukraine. He said that his late son, Bo, had been killed while serving for the US Army in Iraq. Well, not true, of course. So if they can't replace him and he does win the election, where does that leave the United States?
Well, where does it leave the country? Because Kamala Harris would move up to be the president. I ran against her in 2016. I debated her. She was no better then than she is now. The world can't afford weakness in the face of the likes of Putin, in the face of Xi from China, and of course the threats from Iran. She is not cut out for that job. She got the VP job for a very specific purpose. We all know what that was. But that doesn't make her presidential material. And so the United States is in a difficult spot right now, which again places the world in a difficult spot.
What about someone like the governor of California, Gavin Newsom? And I was there in San Francisco last year. I was on a jolly with my friends. I've never seen a city so filthy and disgusting and actually so depressing and sad. Seeing fellow human beings living in that state was pretty horrific. But, I mean, someone like Gavin Newsom is even being tipped as a leading candidate to replace Biden.
Yeah, the problem with that, of course, would be that the Democrat Party would have to skip over a woman of color and put someone else in, which would divide them and put them in even worse civil war than they are now. And California, where I'm from, is a failed state in many respects. Highest crime, highest poverty, highest homelessness, some of the worst insurance rates in the country. My home insurance is going to wind up being canceled. And all of the problems that California has, deficits, highest taxes. Gavin Newsom doesn't know how to run a state. Putting him in the White House isn't much better. And he's divisive across the country as well. So the Democrats are in a rock and a hard place. This is Trump's race to lose.
Sky, the Dems are in a rock and a hard place. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's totally true. Listen, I'm a registered Democrat. I've always been a moderate. I don't see Biden stepping aside. I don't see how the Democrats could replace him without causing a bigger issue for the party, like Tom mentioned, heading into November, because if they were to replace him, it should be with Kamala, and she's not a wildly popular candidate. I run an Instagram channel here in the States called The Political Personality, where I speak with public officials about who they are as people in order to humanize them and better connect them with voters. And what I found is that people are much more driven by feelings than by facts. And the truth is, after Thursday's debate performance, the feeling about Biden has completely changed. Democrats no longer feel confident about his ability to run the country for 4 more years after seeing what they saw on Thursday. And that has nothing to do with his policy record. So will he be the nominee? I think it puts the Democratic Party in a lose-lose situation.
And Scott, regardless of Joe Biden's health and whether he can make it to the end, what's your thoughts on Donald Trump? Because his supporters would say, look, he was the no-war president. The stock market was booming and setting record highs during his tenure. Everyone had jobs. I think the middle classes felt more well-off than ever before. He was a good president, was he not, despite all the conjecture about his behaviour outside the White House?
I know, and it's the conjecture that you reference that is keeping this country going. The left watches CNN and MSNBC, and the right watches Fox News. Well, a lot of Democrats that I know now have said to me that they're going to be tuning into Fox News between now and November so that they can help brainwash themselves so that they don't feel so depressed by Trump winning in November.
Dale, are you getting the same messages from... Sorry, Tom, are you getting the same messages from your neck of the woods?
Well, such an interesting comment, because the divided era we live in, it certainly applies to the media, and the two sides don't meet very often. I live in deep blue territory around San Francisco, California, and we live in 2 different universes. I'm one of the few people who believes in living in government in the area in which I live. And she's exactly right. Look, Plato, millennia ago said that democracy would fail because they would vote for the better looking or likable candidate, not for policy. So yes, Trump did have some good policies, but if he wants to bring this country together, he should eschew saying things like he did from that golf cart, which you pointed out, and start talking about where the country can be in an aspirational manner, and forget talking about Joe Biden. Let Joe Biden deal with Joe Biden. He needs to show Americans and the world that he can unite.
I guess in Trump's defence, he was being secretly filmed and he wasn't talking in an official public capacity. But Tom, very quickly, one word answer: who's going to win in November, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
And Sky?
Trump, definitely. And to Tom's point, that's what millennials like myself are looking for. We want transparency. We want to see these public figures in action in real life circumstances.
OK, thank you both very much for... What's the time in the US? Are you both on different sides of the country?
It's 3:30 Eastern in New York.
And 12:30 in California in a heat wave. By the way, one thing I can relate with Trump is when I play golf, I often have to pay people for my losses. So there you go.
Good stuff. And also, thank you for joining me on Independence Day as well in America. I hope you're celebrating and enjoying yourselves. That's 2016 Republican candidate Tom Del Beccaro and the entrepreneur and podcast host Sky Ozstriker. It's certainly going to be a turbulent couple of months until November. I'm looking forward to it. Right, coming up on the show, top royal author Angela Levin joins me live to discuss if Prince Harry is being genuine about having closer relationships with King Charles. Plus, what's happened to missing Tenerife British teenager Jay Slater? Well, lots of new information has come out in the last 24 hours and it all looks a bit strange, if not interesting. This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Ben Leo, only on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News and weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain in the south to come on Friday, a bit of a drier day though further north, and it will be a little bit calmer than today. We've had low pressure in charge through today, still going to bring some windy weather to western areas of Scotland through the night, as well as some further rain. And it's actually into the southwest we start to see the next batch of rain arrive through this evening, so clouding over for parts of South Wales, southwest England. Drier ahead of that, we'll see some spells of clearer weather as well for parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England as well. Here temperatures could dip down a little, but for most of us it's going to be a fairly mild start to the day on Friday. And there will be quite a lot of cloud around, quite a bit more than today, across central and southern areas of England, where there will be spells of heavy rain at times. Most of us will just see a lot of cloud around and drizzly rain through the day, but there will be some heavier pulses, particularly as we head into the Friday evening as well. Further north though, much drier and clearer, and actually across western Scotland, yes, there's still quite a lot of cloud around to start the day on Friday, but there'll be fewer in the way of showers, so I think quite a bit drier, and with the winds lighter it won't be feeling quite as fresh. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher through Friday here than today. Now further south, this band of rain will wiggle and wave through the day, but it will linger for much of the day across the far south coast, though it could turn a bit dry for parts of the Midlands, North Wales, much of northern England as well. And in that sunshine, it won't feel too bad. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher. We've got 20, possibly 21 degrees in the best of the sunshine. The winds will be lighter as well. Looking ahead to Saturday, it's staying fairly unsettled. That rain will take a while to clear the east coast, and then it will be replaced by a mix of sunshine and some pretty heavy, possibly thundery showers through Saturday, and temperatures again a little bit below where they should be for this time of July. And that theme generally continues into Sunday, though next week it does look like it might slowly start to warm up a little. See you later.
This election night, we're putting on a party.
And you are invited.
We'll be here with you.
Following all the twists and turns.
As well as all the live reaction from our election night watch party.
With our GB News lineup.
And as morning breaks, we'll be here with breakfast from 6 a.m.
As it becomes clear who the winners and the losers really are.
Vote 2024.
Thursday, the 4th of July.
Only on GB News.
Britain's election channel.
GB News is Britain's election channel.
And when the big stories break, we're tackling them on Britain's newsroom. When we disagree, and we disagree a lot, it's even livelier than normal.
We don't disagree that much.
We do.
His comedy, though, is revolting.
I knew her, unlike you. That explains Beverly Turner's temperament.
It's a bit frosty in here, isn't it?
He'll have one of me one day.
Yeah, for dartball practice. Britain's newsroom on GB News. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect And then you throw me into the mix, and trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo. Now, time for some royal news. Prince Harry could be facing an awkward moment after after a petition calling for him to be stripped of a Veterans Sports Award reached 60,000 signatures. So the Prince is set to receive the Pat Tillman Award for Service from US sports broadcaster ESPN. That's due to his work with the Invictus Games Foundation, his charity, of course. But listen to this. The channel has been forced to defend its decision amid a public backlash. So here to discuss this with me now is Harry's biographer, Angela Levin.
Hello.
Good evening,
Hello.
Angela. Thank you for joining me on this momentous night. So look, let's first, a few things to cover off. First off, this award, his mother, the mother of the soldier who this award was named after, Mary. So long story short, this guy was an NFL footballer. He was on $3 million a year. He quit professional sports to go and serve in the US Army. He fought in Iraq.
After 9/11, he decided to do that.
And he died, and there was this really prestigious award named after him, which Prince Harry has now won. So what's the problem? Why are they all kicking off?
Well, the problem is that his mother doesn't think that Prince Harry has the same morals as her son did, and she thinks it would be a very bad thing if he took it. She also thinks that he doesn't need it because he's got lots of things, a prince and all that, whereas people who do a lot of work for ex-military people need things much more because they devote themselves to looking after people and they don't get much back, really. And she just feels that she absolutely doesn't want Harry. She's been saying about Harry, he's been very rude to his family, and she just doesn't like that. And she doesn't want her son associated with that.
So is Harry's behaviour, particularly to his own family, that has upset Mary, the mother of this late soldier?
Oh, yes. And she thinks that he has no morals, you see. And she's fighting it very, very hard. It's now 60,000 people are agreeing with her. And I think that's partly because he's not popular anymore in the United States.
You say that, but I was looking earlier, and the US publication Newsweek, sort of Meghan and Harry's mouthpiece, I guess, they had some polling a few weeks back saying that Meghan, at least, was now on par with King Charles in the popularity stakes. Is that a load of...
What?
Is that a load of sort of Meghan and Harry guff?
I think it is guff, isn't it? I mean, you can see that because they see inside them now what they're doing, which is very unkind and all about them. I mean, like you can say that Meghan always got to be in the spotlight when the other royal family are doing it very carefully. You know, she always finds something to sell, even if it's one raspberry jam. Bottle, and she does do those things when they're inappropriate, and she can't help it. She has to be in the forefront and she has to win, so it makes it very difficult.
So in terms of the award, I suppose the best way Harry could prove his moral credentials is by saying, OK, look, there's a lot of furore about me accepting this award. I'm going to respect the mother of this late soldier, and do you know what? Give it to someone else. Can we expect him to do that, do you reckon?
Well, they don't even mind if... She doesn't even mind if he gives it to the Invictus Games itself, but he shouldn't have it. It should go to the Games.
Do you think he'll do that, though?
I don't think so. I think they like having these games. I mean, there's the award, another two that was getting a legend. He was a legend for aviation when he was in Afghanistan. But he never was one pilot. He was an assistant pilot, so he didn't do the whole lot. So people didn't like that, but that took no notice of that. And the daughter of Robert Kennedy, Kerry, who awarded him for being brave enough to attack the royal family for their racism. But we have discovered later that there was no racism in the royal family, and none of these things have gone back. So I don't think he will actually give back this latest thing.
Well, look, I mean, look back to the Oprah Winfrey interview. There was a litany of lies, proven lies, you know, and they didn't even name the so-called royal racist, just leaving a question mark in the air, a complete bombshell on the royal family. And actually, I think the late Queen was still alive at the time. So, you know, how would that leave her and Philip? I mean...
The Duke of Edinburgh was very ill in hospital at that time. The Queen had asked them if they could postpone it and not do it while he was dying, really.
So look, maybe the mother of this late soldier has a point. She's seen clearly what the world has seen and the way he's treated his family. But look, there's rumours going around today, or in recent days anyway, that King Charles may be extending an olive branch to Harry and Meghan with a potential invite to Balmoral. Is there anything in that?
Well, he does that every year, because he would like to see the family, but he wants them to bring the children. He has said that he wants to see them, but I don't think he wants to see them without the children. He hasn't seen them, 4 and 2, more than once when they were absolutely tiny. And that's put you know, that's what he wants to do. But I don't think Meghan will go there. I think she would hate it. She doesn't want to be told what to do and when to go for a walk and when to eat and how often to change. I mean, she's not one of those girls. And each year they've refused to accept the invitation. So we'll just wait and see.
Do you think that was Meghan's problem, really, whilst she was in the UK and an active member of the royal family? She just kind of didn't get it, didn't want to be ordered around?
Get it. I think she's got it now, and I think she regrets a bit of it, but she's trying to do it herself. She's trying to do an alternative royal family in America. But I think she just couldn't understand it. She felt that she should be discussing with the Queen all the way to make the things that they do more modern. And, of course, you can't do that with the Queen straight away. She was very cross. She wasn't with her to tell her, give her good ideas. But you don't do that. If you go to a new company in a new country, you're very quiet and you grow up the scale slowly. Yeah. And that didn't... She couldn't do that.
And I guess there's a way of doing those kind of things. Just be a bit shrewd about it, give it a bit of time, settle yourself in and so on. But regardless of everything that's happened with Harry and Meghan, I just find it so sad and it's desperate that the King hasn't really got to know his grandchildren. It's very, very sad.
It's actually desperate that the grandchildren have got not to know their father, great father.
No, and that's what makes me laugh. Harry and Meghan preach about unity and compassion, but yet Meghan can't bring herself to forgive her father for some, mistakes he's made. But look, Angela Levin, Prince Harry's biographer, top royal author, thank you very much for being with me. Appreciate it. Right, coming up, Lily Allen, she's selling feet pictures on OnlyFans, and one of my panel tonight has offered to show theirs off too, and it's not me, so stop asking. Can you guess who it is? I'm Ben Leo, and this is Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
How deep is the rift between Prince William and Prince Harry? Well, it's been reported that Prince William is refusing to speak to Prince Harry and has even taken on the role of disciplinarian, which was once, of course, the job of Prince Philip. But has that job gone now to William? And does he indeed rule with a rod of iron? Well, joining me now to discuss this is the former BBC royal correspondent Michael Cole. Himself has a lot of iron. Do you think this is a fair approximation of the character? After all, Michael Cole, surely the palace could do with a firm leader at the moment. Is Wills the man?
I think he is, Martin, and good afternoon to you. William, 42 last Friday. He's grown into the role of heir apparent. He looks good, he sounds good. Now, when the late Queen was alive, she was the chairman of the board, but the chief executive was definitely Prince Philip. She was the head of state, but he was the head of the family. He chaired the Way Ahead Committee. He liaised with the security services. And he laid down the law for a long, long time. Of course, Duchess of York, Sarah, Fergie, was banished. And he also used to go through the invitation lists for any royal event, striking off people he didn't want there. So he was very much in charge. And I think the situation with William is that when he makes up his mind is made up. And he's doing extraordinarily well. And he's doing it without the daily support in public of his wife, of course. And we all wish Kate, the Princess of Wales, well and a speedy continued recovery. And I think the King will be welcoming his older son taking this more prominent role because, quite frankly, he can't do everything.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo, only on GB News, of course. Now, let's head to Tenerife, where a private investigator claims missing British teenager Jay Slater could still be alive if he's drinking rainwater and eating plants. So Jay, as a reminder, was last seen on the Canary Island of Tenerife on June the 17th at around 8 a.m. There are also reports that Jay was caught up in the theft of a £12,000 Rolex watch and tried to sell it hours before his disappearance.
Jay posted a Snapchat saying that he'd taken a £12,000 Rolex from a person. We've been unable to validate this in terms of a reported theft. However, friends of Jay said he would not make this up, and the watch was subject of later conversation between the friends.
Interesting, to say the least. So Jay had been at a rave in Playa de las Americas before travelling back to an Airbnb room in the north of the island with two other British men. So what has happened to Jay Slater? Let's cross to Tenerife and speak to reporter Nick Pisa, who is a senior global reporter for Mail Online, and he's been following every nook and cranny. Good evening, Nick. Thanks for joining me. So let's bring us up to date today with this latest news about this Rolex. What do we know about this watch? Did he steal a watch? Did he admit it? What's happening?
Well, this has been rolling around on various forums, Facebook pages, etc., for a good week, 10 days now. It is something that I'd heard of as well when I first arrived here last week. And at the moment, we don't have any verified confirmation of this theft at all. All we know, all that we've heard, is that there was allegedly some sort of fight outside Papagayo's nightclub on Playa de las Americas, and that this watch was stolen off, quotes, an East European man. Somehow then, there are reports that it ended up with Jay, and he then ended up in a car with two British men who then drove him up to the village of Masca, which is about an hour away from Playa de las Americas, where this end of rave party was taking place. Again, that just throws up just so many questions, Ben, because the Airbnb that these two guys rented is in such a remote place. It's a good hour away along a roller coaster road, goes up and down, hairpin bends, sheer drops either side. You know, you don't really want to do that during the day unless you have to, let alone at night. And for some reason, he went to this guy's house, or this Airbnb, as I say, in Masca. And from there, he sent two Snapchat images to his friends saying that he was there and he'd spent a couple of hours there, and then he wanted to go home, but there was no bus available. He'd missed the bus and there wasn't a bus until 10 o'clock. But the whole thing looks very funny. It just seems very odd. I mean, why on earth go back to Masca, which is about an hour from where he's got a room at a hotel 10 minutes away from Playa de las Americas? Is it connected to the watch? We don't know, because the police are refusing to reveal any details. They're just giving us trotting out the same old statement day in, day out. The investigation is still open and all avenues are being investigated.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tragic story, of course, for any parents who have their child missing on their first lad's holiday abroad is horrific. But as you said, as the days go on, it just gets more and more extraordinary, snippets of information coming out online, which are then perhaps later verified by the police and the authorities. And one thing that's come out tonight, Nick, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but a volunteer search party has tonight pulled out of the hunt for Jay Slater because they insist they've not seen a penny of the sum £35,000 raised online, which was initially raised to try and help find him.
Yeah, this is turning into a bit of she says, he said, they said, we said. Yes, I mean, this is a guy called Callum who says he came out here 2 weeks ago to take part in the search. I should say that I've not actually seen any images of him searching. For someone who's quite prevalent on social media, I'm rather surprised that he hasn't posted anything at all of him being up there searching. He did do a TikTok live a few hours ago waving a load of bus tickets saying, look at all these bus tickets I've had to pay for myself. I've not seen anything from Debbie Duncan, that's Jay's mother, and the GoFundMe page. This all followed from a statement that Debbie had put on the GoFundMe page yesterday in which she thanked Callum for his help, and she also thanked another TikTok guy called Paul Arnott, who's also more of a professional mountaineer, Ben, someone who has experience of climbing mountains and has been up there. I've personally seen this guy virtually every day up at Masca. So anyway, as I say, yeah, this row has erupted between Callum and Debbie and her group, her supporters, her friends. And they have actually, in the last few minutes, Ben, issued a statement saying that Callum is mistaken. And they have posted a screenshot showing £740 going into Callum's bank account. So the plot...
Goodness me. I mean, it's a terrible story, but it's just...
We should add, Ben, sorry, just to say, they are insisting as well that £740 that they gave Callum didn't come out of the GoFundMe page. It came out of Debbie's own personal bank account.
I mean, I really hope this lad is found, but it's becoming more bizarre by the day. Nick, when was the last time you spoke to Debbie, Jay's mother? Because I know you were in touch with her in previous days.
I last spoke to her yesterday via message and on the phone very briefly. She obviously is still very, very upset, very distraught. She just wants to know what's happened to Jay. Nothing is clear. There's conflicting reports from even the friends that were here with him. Nothing is adding up. Nothing is making sense. And at the end of the day, we have a poor mother and father who have come out here to look for their son, and they just want answers.
Nick, just tell us on a personal note, you're one of the Man Online's top global reporters. You travel the world chasing stories. I know you worked quite closely on the Madeleine McCann story as well. What's it like working on a story of this magnitude where the media attention just builds and builds? And also, as I said, from a personal note, you're away from your family and your kids for such a long time.
Yeah, well, I think it's now official. I've been the longest reporter that's been here since this all started. We got here on the Wednesday, which is 2 days after Jay disappeared, and yeah, still out here. Missed various milestones, shall we say, birthdays, etc. But anyway, we're here. I suppose it's all part of the job when you sign up for it to be a reporter, isn't it? You have to go where the story is. But I mean, this is one of the most bizarre stories I've ever covered because of just various themes and threads that come out. And I think obviously now, with the internet and TikTok sleuthing and conspiracy theories, it's a very different game to when I first started many years ago in this job.
Yeah, I guess back in the day when you did start, I mean, I'm going to say decades. I don't know if that's insulting to you, Nick, but I suppose you didn't have the likes of TikTok and Snapchat and all these different social media avenues for people to really speculate, spread rumours and so on.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, Ben, it's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it? Because we've been trawling through some of this stuff and have found some useful information. We found some pictures which we've been able to publish and which has helped us build up more of a timeline a better timeline. And witnesses have come forward because they've recognised them. But also, then at the same time, you've just seen some utter nonsense.
Nick, I'm going to... we're fast running out of time, but thank you, Nick Pease, a senior global reporter at the Man Online. We'll speak to you next week, I'm sure. Lots more to come in the next hour. First of all, here's your weather.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News and weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain in the south to come on Friday. A bit of a drier day though further north, and it will be a little bit calmer than today. We've had low pressure in charge through today. Still going to bring some windy weather to western areas of Scotland through the night, as well as some further rain. And it's actually into the southwest we start to see the next batch of rain arrive through this evening. So clouding over for parts of South Wales, southwest England. Drier ahead of that, we'll see some spells of clearer weather as well for parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England as well. Here temperatures could dip down a little, but for most of us it's going to be a fairly mild start to the day on Friday. And there will be quite a lot of cloud around, quite a bit more than today across central and southern areas of England, where there will be spells of heavy rain at times. Most of us will just see a lot of cloud around and drizzly rain through the day, but there will be some heavier pulses, particularly as we head into the Friday evening as well. Further north though, much drier and clearer, and actually across western Scotland, yes, there's still quite a lot of cloud around to start the day on Friday, but there'll be fewer in the way of showers, so I think quite a bit drier, and with the winds lighter it won't be feeling quite as fresh. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher through Friday here than today. Now further south, this band of rain will wiggle and wave through the day, but it will linger for much of the day across the far south coast, though it could turn a bit dry for parts of the Midlands, North Wales, much of northern England as well. And in that sunshine, it won't feel too bad. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher. We've got 20, possibly 21 degrees in the best of the sunshine. The winds will be lighter as well. Looking ahead to Saturday, it's staying fairly unsettled. That rain will take a while to clear the east coast, and then it will be replaced by a mix of sunshine and some pretty heavy, possibly thundery showers through Saturday, and temperatures again a little bit below where they should be for this time of July. And that theme generally continues into Sunday, though next week it does look like it might slowly start to warm up a little. See you later.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's our summer treat to you. Your chance to win an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Our biggest cash prize of the year so far. With an extra £30,000 in your bank account this year, you could take the ultimate financial holiday and send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. £30,000 could get you those nagging home improvements done, buy that brand new car, or just enable you to kick back and relax for the rest of the year. For a chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2, or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 9 p.m. This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo, on the way. Fat jabs, Ozempic, is it worth the health risk? Of course, lots of people sticking the needles in their arms to get summer fit, but according to reports today, side effects include going blind. And did you see this? Lily Allen, she's selling photos of her feet on OnlyFans. We'll be judging our panellists' feet later in the show. You don't want to miss it. Lots more to come, and the polls close in 1 hour. But before all that, here's your latest news headlines with Polly Middlehurst.
Ben, thank you. Yes, just an hour to go if you want to vote. Millions of people across the country have already been heading to their local ballot box all day, in fact, to choose their local candidate and ultimately the next government. It's the first time voter IDs are required as well after new rules were introduced in 2023. 650 constituencies being contested today, 46 million people eligible to cast their vote, and full coverage for you of exactly what the outcome will be in just under an hour's time. From 5 to 10 rather tonight, we'll have all the reaction and the results right here live on GB News. We were hoping to show you the scene at the GB News watch party, but let me tell you that will be going ahead tonight. All eyes on the race for the greatest number of seats. Our very own Patrick Christys and Michelle Dewberry joining us from there throughout the night. Full coverage of the election results tonight on GB News. Now, in other news today, TV presenter Holly Willoughby has thanked previous victims of a man now convicted of plotting to rape, kidnap and kill her, praising their bravery in speaking up. In a statement, Holly Willoughby said women should not be made to feel unsafe going about their lives or in their own homes. It's emerged during the trial that Gavin Plum had preyed on women before and has convictions for attempted kidnap and false imprisonment. A jury today returned and dismissed 37-year-old's defence that his plans were merely a fantasy. DCI Greg Wood from Essex Police said Plum is in fact a dangerous, predatory individual.
His claims in court that he was a fantasist are simply not true and were evidenced by the extent with which he plotted with others to carry out his wicked plan. Gavin Plum also has a history of attacking other women, attempting to kidnap them using weapons and threats of violence. He is a dangerous man, and I have no doubt he was determined to carry out the acts as he planned.
In other news today, a former schoolteacher who had sex with 2 boys has been jailed for 6.5 years. Rebecca Joins groomed the teenagers from the age of 15 and even became pregnant by one of them. One of the boys said he was coerced and manipulated by the 30-year-old teacher. The parents of both her victims watched as she broke down in tears today while her sentence was read out at Manchester Crown Court. Now, scientists are warning that people using the popular weight loss jabs like Ozempic could be at higher risk of losing their sight. New research suggests patients on the medication called semaglutide may be more susceptible to a condition that causes blindness. Those affected can suffer sudden loss of vision in one eye, but without any pain, which is often discovered when waking up. Just rounding up for you what's happening at Wimbledon today. Has been disappointment on centre court for Andy Murray, who's crashed out of the men's doubles in the first round at Wimbledon. The former world #1 was partnered alongside his brother Jamie, but it wasn't his final appearance. He's playing alongside Emma Raducanu in the mixed doubles later this week. Elsewhere, in a battle of the Brits, Harriet Dart beat Katie Boulter, while Jack Draper lost to Cameron Norrie. Those are the latest news headlines. I'm Polly Middlehurst. Stay with us throughout the night for all election reaction results right here on GB News.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo. A bit gutted that Andy Murray's just been knocked out of Wimbledon and the doubles anyway with his brother. But as Polly alluded to, he's on court with Emma Raducanu tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Come on, Andy. Right, moving on. Fat jabs. They've become all the rage, haven't they? With people using them to shed a few pounds for their summer holidays. But is the latest Get Slim Quick fad actually a serious health risk? Concerning reports over the last 24 hours have linked certain weight loss jabs, such as Ozempic, to an eye condition that can cause blindness. So is there anything to be worried about? What's the risk-reward? I'm joined now by GP and author Dr. Ellie Cannon. Good evening, Dr. Ellie. These jabs are all the rage. I know scores of people who have used them, and actually they do a pretty good job. I've seen, some fairly larger people shed a couple of pounds. What's the risk reward, though? Because we're seeing concerning reports today that some can cause blindness.
Yes, that's right. And I think this highlights what people need to realise, which is there's never a miracle cure and no drugs come without side effects. This drug should not be being used as a skinny jab. I don't think it's a good idea to be calling it a skinny jab. It's not the same as going on a diet for the summer. These are drugs that are meant for people with type 2 diabetes or meant for people with obesity, where their doctor has prescribed the medication for that as a health problem. So the danger here is really how much of a fad semaglutide has become, and people taking it who really shouldn't be.
So semaglutide is the medical name for Ozempic, which is the brand name, right?
Yeah. Yes, okay, that's right. Yeah, so semaglutide, it's the diabetic drug, so it can be Ozempic or Wegovy, and it's this particular type, what we call a GLP-1 agonist of diabetic medications.
Would you recommend Ozempic at all for losing weight?
Yeah, absolutely. But in the same way that I recommend high blood pressure medication or medication for somebody's chest infection, I would recommend it under the supervision of a doctor with a full appreciation of the side effects, the regulation, the laws which govern it, which we call the licensing, according to the national formulary in the UK. You don't want to be giving any medication to somebody who doesn't need it. You certainly don't want to be buying something like Ozempic online, where you just have to tick a few boxes and the doctor has never actually seen you face to face. That's incredibly dangerous for so many reasons. And I think what's important about this study about the blindness is it just highlights to us that no drugs come without side effects.
Am I being slightly harsh by just thinking that more people need to just watch their diet, eat a bit less, do some more exercise? Why do we always have to turn to drugs and pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, so you're basically sort of adopting this slim person smugness, which we see a lot with the discussion around weight loss and obesity. We live in what's called an obesogenic environment. The food environment in the UK is absolutely terrible, where you're encouraged to eat food from morning till night, most of which is really bad for you. We've been encouraged for the last 2 or 3 decades not really to move at all. If you just think about how you buy a takeaway compared to how I bought a takeaway when I was a kid, and you'd walk down to the shop. Now people even just order their takeaway on their phone. So the whole environment is obesogenic, which is why we've got almost half the population in this situation. So we can't sort of blame each of those individuals. Being thin, joining a gym, exercising has become aspirational in the UK. We've got a real issue. And I do agree with you, actually. It seems quite backward to actually treat this with a pharmaceutical. I would much rather that we treated the issue with looking at the food environment and the exercise environment. But unfortunately, we've moved too far, and we've got this huge health risk epidemic running towards us, which is going to cripple all of us and the NHS.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think in cases where there is extreme obesity, it's an immediate health risk. So if you're, sorting the weight loss pretty much instantly over the course of a couple of weeks or months, I guess that's a good thing. And you could perhaps worry about the symptoms or the side effects later on. But Dr. Ellie Cannon, thank you for joining us this evening. Appreciate it very much. To my panel now, Paula London, Chloe Dobbs, Lewis Oakley. Right, first questions first. Who has been taking Ozempic on this panel? Would you like to admit it?
Me.
Paula, hands up.
Yes.
Why did you take it?
Because I put on a bit of weight, to be honest with you. My weight has gone up and down by about 2 stone about 5 times the last 10 years. I used to go to the gym a lot. I used to go horse riding. Then I got a little lazy, and then I got obsessed with the news. So I was watching the news for hours. And then I got on the scales, and I didn't like what I saw. So I thought...
But couldn't you have just gone back to the gym, Paula?
I could have done,
Stop
but
eating.
then I was reading about Ozempic, and I thought, let me try it. And I'm so glad I did, because I've lost 18 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
And I feel so much better. I can wear smaller clothes. And what a lot of people are not that don't know about it is that it stops you craving alcohol. I used to drink a couple of glasses of wine every evening, and then you can easily put on £1 pound a week by doing that. If you have 2 glasses of wine in an evening, that's 3,500 calories over a week. This jab stops you wanting alcohol. And it's crazy how it works.
Do you still have to keep taking the jab? Now you've lost weight, I mean, do you have to keep taking it?
Well, I just want to lose 5 more pounds. But now, like, I used to buy a bottle of wine and drink at home. Now I have probably 1 glass of wine twice a week, and I feel happier because obviously alcohol is a depressant. I used to sit at home watching TV and order Haribo from Deliveroo or Uber Eats or one of those food delivery companies. Now I actually forget to eat, and I've never forgotten to eat. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
But Chloe, isn't the problem that as soon as you stop taking this drug, you're just going to go back to your old ways, surely?
I mean, Paula, you'll be the expert. Do you have to keep taking it afterwards?
Not really. I took it. I mean, I'll be honest.
I would imagine people will yo-yo.
Yeah, well, last year,
comes back,
I took it for just 1 month and I lost 8 pounds. Then it took a whole year to put on 8 pounds.
Have you had any side effects?
So you have gone up and down, take it.
But I always go back and down. But for a whole year, to put on 8 pounds, and I've been eating what I like the whole year. I just think it's great.
I feel like it should only be used in desperate situations. Like, as you said, when being so overweight is a urgent health risk to you.
But I'm saving money as well.
We live a life now full of ultra-processed food and barely anyone exercising. Let's eat properly and exercise more. And if that doesn't work and genuinely
I know, but I love
you're
eating.
trying really
I don't even feel like I want to eat now,
and it's
so
not
it's
working,
diet
then maybe have a little bit of help from this drug. But
Paula, we all, I'm sure the viewers agree as well, we all love eating. Lewis, I'm sure you like a late night.
Some people don't. Some people forget to eat without Ozempic.
But here's my thing with this. Like, are we not going to be in a situation in a few years where we've got all the gyms closing because no one's going?
Well,
and isn't there something about
my arms are loose. I do need to go to the gym.
As long as all the Instagram girlies want to go in there and take pictures of their bum,
the Instagram girls will keep the gyms going. But I think there is a wider point around, going to the gym, actually leaving the house, being disciplined as well.
I know that
has a huge impact on your mental health.
It's about mental health as well, and I think the two are tied, right? Like, if you go to the gym, you're working out, you're with other people, you're seeing he's a bit more ripped than me, I'm going to do a few more.
And you'll be more proud of a good body if you've worked for it,
And also, Dr. Eddie there said that my comment about eating less and moving more was the smugness of a thin person, but I didn't say to her. But I mean, I've had to put in the graft. If I sat there, I love food. I love cakes and croissants in the morning. And
you probably have better metabolism than me. And the thing is, I was spending a fortune on food. I didn't realise because I was ordering deliveries every single day. And now I have more money, even though this injection costs £5 a day. And it also stops me smoking. You stop craving cigarettes. I used to smoke over 10 a day.
Look at what you've done to the economy. You're not going to the gym, you're not eating, you're not drinking, you're not smoking.
I'm not smoking,
the economy's going to be in trouble.
I have a packet of 20 cigarettes to last the whole week. I was smoking 20 a day sometimes. Scientists don't realise why people are not wanting nicotine or even drugs, hard drugs. People are saying that they used to take hard drugs and now they're on Ozempic and they're not craving it. And the same with alcohol. So I do think it's a wonder drug. For me, it's great. I want to lose 5 more pounds and I'm coming off of it. But I do worry if someone was underweight and they got it by lying or got someone else to get it for them, it could be dangerous. But for me, I love it.
There's a comment here from, is it Valderci? Is that how you pronounce it? Good evening to you. Say, why is it that the NHS have numerous dietitians, yet there is no part of the NHS website that has any ideas for healthy meals? You have to pay a fortune for some weird club. I mean, you go into my local hospital, I won't say where it is because we'll have to get a reply from them, but you go into the hospital, there's vending machines of chocolates, crisps, fizzy drinks. I mean, and also the food they sell in hospitals when you're in there getting treatment is just, I mean, I think it's absurd.
Well, the thing is, doctors, in all the years and years of training that they do the tiniest little bit, like a few days or a couple of weeks, on nutrition. They just learn about drugs, i.e. sticking a plaster on a problem rather than looking at the cause of a problem. We know that most of our top killers are heavily linked to what you eat. Yet doctors, they're just taught about drugs, they're not taught about food.
Lewis, last word to you.
We've spent a lot of time in hospital with one of our kids, and it is beggars belief. The vending machines, or even just the shops that they have, it's all ready meals and things like that. And even if you're in there, the stuff that's being given to patients, it's disgusting. That is something that needs to be looked at properly.
I sat in all night once, I ate 3 packets of crisps from the vending
Well, on that note, we have to go to a break in a second. I'm going to go get a Mars bar in the break and a couple of packets of crisps as well. But look, coming up, Lily Allen is selling photos of her feet, her stinky feet probably, on OnlyFans. It's a booming business right now, that's according to sources. We'll be speaking to one model who sells pictures of her own feet for hundreds of pounds at a time. I think I'm missing out. And next, Cineworld is closing a quarter of its 100 sites across the UK. Are we witnessing the death of the cinema? Well, maybe they shouldn't charge 15 quid, £10 a pop for popcorn. Stay tuned, that's next. This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo, only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you put jam or cream first on your scone? Divisive.
A new study has found that 44% of Brits put jam on before the cream, which is the right way to eat a scone.
In my opinion, definitely jam first, but I have to say, do you know what? As long as you enjoy it and it's delicious, and you've got nice scone, nice jam, amazing clotted cream, who cares?
Paul, why the jam first?
Because I love that chilled clotted cream that you hit first, then into that room temperature jam, and then that lovely baked scone.
And one of our viewers has written in and said actually she puts the jam on first because otherwise you would get it all over, as in it would wobble off on the top of the cream.
But I think it's easy to dribble the jam onto the cream. You're not spreading the jam onto the cream if you put it on top.
I would do jam first because it just seems to make less mess. So the jam spreads easy and just a dollop of cream on top.
Is there much of a market for the savoury ones that you have?
Yeah. Then, you know, like when you're frying onions for a hot dog, like bare ground onions, fold that through your scone mix, bake your scone, so you've got this lovely kind of like roasted onion scone mix.
Into it.
Braised beef, clotted cream, horseradish and watercress.
Oh, my word.
Absolutely incredible.
Well, you're very adventurous, Paul, very adventurous.
Yes. But think of it, you know, like when you make beef stew and you put those scones, drop scones on top, like a beef cobbler.
Yeah.
It's that inspiration.
Well, I would call it like a dumpling.
Paul, do you think very quickly, do you think these will become a classic?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Because I think there's just so much more to clotted cream, scones than just the traditional cream tea.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Neil Oliver, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on GB News. And if an hour is not nearly enough for you, go to gbnews.com for special extended episodes online every Friday at 9 p.m, where we can truly get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Ben Leo with you on Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News. Now, Cineworld, one of the UK's largest cinema chains, is considering plans to close a quarter of its 100 UK sites. The company is still in debt and plans to renegotiate rent agreements at 50 more of its 100 or so UK venues. So, panel, are we seeing the death of cinema? And if we are, is it because it's such a rip-off?
Yeah, as someone with kids, it is a rip-off. I mean, if you want to take 3 or 4 people to the cinemas, you're looking at 100 quid. You've got to feed them as well. So it's one of those things. But I also think it's streaming as well. It's the fact that, shall I go and see this? It'll probably be, on one of the streaming services in a couple of weeks or a month. I'll just wait for it. We've definitely done that.
But it is nice, Chloe, going to the cinema, seeing a film in its full glory with all the sound and the pictures. My only gripe is that you go there and, you get a drink which costs about 7 quid. You get some popcorn with a markup of about 1,000,000%. You just feel you're getting screwed at every turn.
I mean, I always sneak stuff in the bottom of my bag underneath jumpers so that they don't get.
But I think
don't get caught.
you're allowed to do that, aren't you?
Yeah, no, a lot of them will actually check your bag.
Really?
I just hope they just open the top of the bag. But I mean, you're right. It is different to sitting in front of Netflix at home. It is a nice experience, and hence, a lot of us probably feel quite upset with the idea of cinema dying out. But you can understand with streaming, it's so easy when you feel like watching a movie. You just open your screen and it's there, which means that inevitably fewer people are going to go to the cinema. And I mean, what is the solution? Spend a load of taxpayers' money on subsidising cinemas to keep them open? I don't want that. So I think it's inevitable that cinemas will start to die out.
No, but it's about they need to embrace the future and more technology. So if you go to the cinema and suddenly, they've got the smells and the sounds and everything, and it feels like you're more there, that'll be the way it'll evolve. They'll have to evolve. But,
these 4D ones where they splash some water on you.
Yeah, they've got to be 4D, splash some water on people. That'll be, if they're going to survive, that'll be what they'll do. They'll have to embrace some new technology you can't replicate at home.
Paula, what do you reckon?
I absolutely love the cinema. I go to the cinema every week or every other week, and View Cinema, actually, in Leicester Square. They now charge £10 a ticket. They've reduced their tickets, and that's 7 days a week. So I think that's pretty reasonable. But I've always wondered how they're staying open, because I like to go to the cinema on my own, where I can just switch off. And a lot of movies are actually made for the cinema. It's much better.
You go by yourself to the cinema?
All the time. I wouldn't go on my own in the evening if there's all couples making out or something. But in the day, I'm often on my own, so it's like I've got my own cinema. I've literally, the most people I've seen in the cinema in the afternoon when I go is 10. Normally there's 1 or 2 people.
10?
Yeah.
Why are they not at work? Lazy so-and-sos. Why aren't you at work?
No, I know. Well, I'm a freelance worker. See, for me, it's like I've got my own cinema at home. I've got a small flat. If I had a palatial home with a great TV, it might be great to watch a movie, but I've got rather small TV compared to some people, and going to the cinema, it's the experience. I love movies. I want to keep them alive. If we don't go to watch them, we could lose the cinemas, and that would be terrible.
There is another argument here, though, isn't there? Is that no one wants to watch the films they're making. Hollywood is out of ideas. That's why everything is a reboot of something that was rebooted in the 80s, and the stories aren't compelling. Well, I'm not going to say it's all gone woke, go broke.
There are some great movies out there.
It's all gone woke. It's all indoctrinated, especially from Disney. I mean, I've got 2 young kids. I will not let them see. If they want to go and see a Disney film with their mum and they want to, fine, but I'm not going to take them. No way. After the way Disney have behaved in recent years. Look, let's move on to the second story. So an EasyJet flight to Tenerife, again, back in the news, had to turn around back to Gatwick Airport after its hydraulic system broke in mid-air. Goodness me. So every other day, right, it feels like a plane somewhere is malfunctioning. What's going on, Lewis?
I don't know, but it is worrying. So we've never actually taken my youngest kids abroad, and we're going to take them for the first time this year. And stuff like this really freaks me out, because I'm like, if something happens to a plane and I'm on it, and it's fine, but if you've got your kids on it and there's panics and all those kind of things, so as a parent, it does kind of put you off, and you just kind of think, for the money you're charging, surely you can get one aeroplane to another airport, safely.
I think that's really irrational, though, because you're more likely to die in the car on the way to the airport than you are on the plane, right? We rarely hear about plane crashes and planes going wrong. People die in car crashes every single day.
No, I know that, but in a car you can swerve and you feel like you're more of a man of your own destiny. In a plane, if there's something wrong, there's nothing you can do.
Paula, we had that Singapore Airlines flight a few weeks ago, which experienced turbulence that the pilot said had never had before. One guy did unfortunately die, but it was as a result of a heart attack, not sort of being launched into the ceiling.
For some reason, turbulence is the problem, and I don't know why. So it's kind of worrying what's going on in the sky.
Well, there's this new claim now from climate change alarmists that climate change is creating more, obviously, warmer air in the atmosphere, and it's causing more turbulence.
Well, maybe cloud seeding, that's got something to do with it as well, because that's going on a lot. It's not just in Dubai that happens in a lot of other countries, but they don't admit it, so maybe that's affecting...
So cloud seeding, just for viewers that don't know, is an artificial process where they pump sort of electronodes into the sky.
Yeah, it's very specific, and then it rains, basically.
Yeah,
so they get involved in nature when they shouldn't.
Well, it works in Dubai because, of course, it's a desert.
Really,
so.
look at the floods they had. The huge floods. You know, they've got problems because of it.
Yeah, there was some speculation that they kind of overdone the cloud seeding. But I always think that I love flying and, you know, I love being in the air, I love being at airports. But I always think that if I'm going to come a cropper on a plane, so be it. Because I imagine, I mean, sorry to sound so, you know, sort of gloomy on a Thursday night, but I always think if I'm going to die in an airplane, it's probably one of the easiest, you know, ways of going.
Which depends how old you are. I mean, I wouldn't want to die now. If I was 80, I probably wouldn't mind. But...
Any severe turbulence, I laugh my head off. I sit there, I'm laughing.
Oh, do you? No, I don't laugh. I'm scared if that happens.
That's definitely a refined character.
You laugh. People laugh around
God.
you or sitting by you.
But also, if anything goes wrong, it is a long way to the ground. It's not going to be quick.
I'll tell you what, when I was a lot younger, in my local newspaper, I did a fear of flying course with British Airways. Right. Not because I was scared, but because they invited journalists up, and we did a trip along the south coast of England. The pilot was talking the whole time. He said turbulence is equivalent to going over a pothole in a car. He sped the plane up. He said this is the sound of one engine going off. So I got really familiar with, you know, all the sounds and vibrations. But I don't know, it's just some weird reaction I have whenever it's bad turbulence. I sit there sort of laughing my head off and people behind me are screaming.
I like a bit of flight. I do feel like a nice retirement plan would be getting one of those little one-person planes and just, like, taking it about
The little
my
ones
70s.
are dodgy. The little ones
Or,
are dodgy.
instead of doing that, you could be flogging your pictures on OnlyFans like Lily Allen. So she has started selling her feet on the subscription site. I'll be joined by another model from OnlyFans who does the very same thing. And yeah, she's got a lot of soul-searching to do, to say the least. Stick with us. This is Ben Leo and Patrick Christys tonight, only on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News and weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain in the south to come on Friday, a bit of a drier day though further north, and it will be a little bit calmer than today. We've had low pressure in charge through today, still going to bring some windy weather to western areas of Scotland through the night, as well as some further rain, and it's actually into the southwest we start to see the next batch of rain arrive through this evening, so clouding over for parts of South Wales, southwest England. Drier ahead of that, we'll see some spells of clearer weather as well for parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England as well. Here temperatures could dip down a little, but for most of us it's going to be a fairly mild start to the day on Friday. And there will be quite a lot of cloud around, quite a bit more than today, across central and southern areas of England, where there will be spells of heavy rain at times. Most of us will just see a lot of cloud around and drizzly rain through the day, but there will be some heavier pulses, particularly as we head into the Friday evening as well. Further north though, much drier and clearer, and actually across western Scotland, yes, there's still quite a lot of cloud around to start the day on Friday, but there'll be fewer in the way of showers, so I think quite a bit drier, and with the winds lighter it won't be feeling quite as fresh. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher through Friday here than today. Now further south, this band of rain will wiggle and wave through the day, but it will linger for much of the day across the far south coast, though could turn a bit dry for parts of the Midlands, North Wales, much of northern England as well. And in that sunshine, it won't feel too bad. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher. We've got 20, possibly 21 degrees in the best of the sunshine. The winds will be lighter as well. Looking ahead to Saturday, it's staying fairly unsettled. That rain will take a while to clear the east coast, and then it will be replaced by a mix of sunshine and some pretty heavy, possibly thundery showers through Saturday, and temperatures again a little bit below where they should be for this time of July. And that theme generally continues into Sunday, though next week it does look like it might slowly start to warm up a little. See you later.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and whenever it's happening,
we'll be there.
This is GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Akweer. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Neil Oliver, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on GB News. And if an hour is not nearly enough for you, go to gbnews.com for special extended episodes online every Friday at 9 p.m, where we can truly get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Emily Carver. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Ben Leo. 30 minutes until the polls close and our extensive coverage, which runs all through the night. Camilla Tominey, Stephen Dixon will be there with top analysts and contributors, plus our GB News watch party with Jubes and Patrick Christys with hundreds of audience members. It's going to be a cracking show. Do not miss it. 30 minutes. Now, though, for some serious investigative news, Lily Allen has joined OnlyFans to sell pictures of her feet. So the singer has a 5-star rating on WikiFeet, which is a website where users rate people's trotters.
A lady that comes and does my nails, and they informed me that I have 5 stars on WikiFeet, which is quite rare, but yes, that my feet are rated quite highly on the internet.
So Lily Allen's chiropodist told her that she could, quote, make a lot of money selling foot content on OnlyFans.
He said that I could make a lot of money from selling foot content on OnlyFans, and I'm like, not no.
OK, so I'm joined now by OnlyFans foot content model Nova Jules. Good evening, Nova. Thanks for joining us. Right, what's going on here? Just explain it, because this all seems very bizarre to me. I don't get why people would be interested in the slightest in other people's smelly feet. What's going on?
I think if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. I think once you're into feet, it's definitely something that nobody seems to break away from, to be fair.
So how much can foot models like yourself make? What are you raking in on, say, a weekly basis?
Do you know what? I've done content creation for 4 years now, and I wish that I'd tracked exactly what I made just off of my foot content. But I don't know specifically, but I do know that it's in the thousands. People will pay crazy money for feet.
But it pays the bills, right? This is your job. It's not like a side hustle you do. This is your full-time job.
This is my full-time job, yeah. And when I realised just how big the foot fetish world was, I could not believe it. I mean, people pay anything from £10 up to £500 for a photo, just photos of your feet. It's crazy.
Right, I'm going to let you into a secret. I sometimes get messages from people on social media asking me for pictures of my feet. I block them straight away, but if I did go down that avenue, I never would, let's just put that on the record, how much would I expect to make as a man? Is it different for a man and a woman?
Well, I think the industry is maybe taken over by women selling feet content more than men, but to be honest, I like a man with nice feet. So I would personally subscribe, and I'm always intrigued to see what people's feet look like as well. To be totally honest, I might subscribe to Lily Allen's just to see what she's up to, because I am intrigued to see what everybody's feet look like. That sounds like the weirdest thing ever, doesn't it?
Is it mostly men or women who like the foot?
Both, to be honest. I mean, I would maybe say my buyers just now, I would say 80% men, but there are women out there that love them.
So there's your feet. Tell us about your foot care routine. Are you taking particular, a conscious effort to make sure they're in tip-top shape? What do you do? What don't you do?
I have always made sure that my feet are in prime condition, ready to take a photo of them at any opportunity. You never know when you're out and about or you're doing the shopping, a message might come through and they're like, I want a photo of your feet right now. So you've got to have them moisturised and painted and ready to snap a photo at any given opportunity. I get a pedicure every 3 weeks.
So you could be in the supermarket doing your weekly shop and you'd get a request through. I mean, do you oblige them straight away or do you rush out to go home? I mean, how does it work?
No, I mean, some of them just want to see you there and then. If you're wearing trainers, slippers, it doesn't matter. You just point that camera down, take a picture of your feet at the moment, and that's what they're happy for.
Oh dear. OK, Nova, I'm glad it all works out for you and you've got that going on. I mean, interesting hustle, and best of luck to you. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Oh dear, guys, how did we get here? What's going on?
I once had a guy messaging me asking if he could buy my old smelly shoes.
I thought you were going to say something else then. Goodness me.
Well, people do pay for other smelly things as well. But that was I told him if you give me 10 grand, all right. But then it turned out he was broke. So.
Lewis, do you get the foot vibe?
It's not for me. I mean, I know there are some people that are absolutely repulsed by feet and don't like people walking around without their socks on. I'm just not really fussed. But the fact that there's so much money to be... I mean, coming on this show tonight, I found out either bet on your kids becoming superstars in the sports world or sell pictures of your feet. So... That's it. I've got a retirement plan.
I'm not saying it's a slow news day, but, you know, without the politics, it's a rather slow news day.
I just feel like from Lily Allen, though, it looks really desperate. Like, you're a famous person who's made loads of money in music. I mean, are you so rubbish now and no one buys your music anymore?
I can't imagine
like,
she's short.
You have to sell feet pictures.
Short of money.
She's not short of a few bob. I mean, £8 a month. I mean, she must have... I mean, if you're getting tens of thousands of subscribers... I think we have a picture of one of our panellists' feet. Lewis Oakley. Let's have a look at yours. There we go. Some is that duck feet or chicken feet?
Oh my God!
And have we got some of Chloe's trotters? Let's have a look. Here we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think it's a pig's hoof. And this is we've got Paula's. There we are, Paula. Nice. Chicken feet. Viewers at home, I wouldn't have dared subject you to real pictures of our panel's feet. There were calls earlier in the day from the production team to actually get my feet out, and you can imagine what my response was.
Lewis, your feet were webbed, I have to say. That looks a bit incest.
Oh my God, a bit incest.
You know what we say in Cornwall, if you're Cornish, you've got webbed feet.
Oh,
luckily, my parents weren't from Cornwall, though, so I didn't get that.
You've just annoyed the whole Cornwall constituency.
Nice one, Chloe. Offending the whole of the South.
I'm Cornish, so I can say it. It's fine.
OK, well, very, very bizarre story. Good luck to Lily Allen and, of course, Nova, who we had on then. Not my bag at all. I don't get it. I think it's weird. As I said, I get a couple of messages every now and then from certain people. I'm not going to say, but, yeah, no. Block. See you later.
You pay for a whole flight with it.
Yeah.
You travel more.
No, we're ending this segment. We've had enough. Right, we're kicking it to the curb, excuse the pun. Coming up, do you or your partner have a beard? Well, you should be growing one. Find out why next. We're back in just a tick.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Question is...
Should our museums stay free for everyone and anyone, or should we be charging our tourists?
So many of the artefacts are from around the world, stolen actually. I think it's almost to add insult to injury to ask people to pay to see the artefacts that were taken without their permission. One of the things that the museum set itself up for is a kind of World Heritage where you can see the stuff they took from your country free of charge. Because the British state's willing to do that, is one of the reasons why we hold on to many of the artefacts from around the world instead of giving them back.
I mean, that's a noble argument, Wayman, but none of the other countries in the world that also contain artefacts from all over the world indulge in that, do they? We still have to pay to see anything that's come from the UK that might be overseas?
No, but the absolute truth is that we've stolen a lot more over many more years than anybody else. Because we're we had a very, very big empire, and during that time, taking things from other countries without their permission.
And I think our wonderful country, the United Kingdom, is the cradle of modern civilization, not of the ancient world, but of the modern world. You know, for centuries, we've contributed things to the world, which has spread out around the world, and the influence that we've put upon countries around the globe has been massively significant. I think it's a privilege for people to be able to come to this country and track the history of our country through our museums. I can't understand why they've ever been free. The upkeep of museums runs into hundreds of millions of pounds a year. Somebody's got to maintain them and keep them good. Somebody's got to go around the world and collect the artifacts which are in our museums. And I've always had the adage in life, if something is free, it's probably not worth having.
The People's Channel.
Hello, welcome back. Ben Leo with you on Patrick Christys tonight. Stick with us for the next 20 minutes. We're going to have our extensive election coverage all through the night in a very, very short while. But for now, research suggests beards are an indication that males are more likely to, quote, invest in others romantically and find a permanent partner. So, ladies and men, has your partner got his ready-to-settle-down facial hair? Lewis, I am probably the worst person to be discussing this topic. I look like a 12-year-old boy. I could probably grow a beard if you gave me 7 years, but you are sporting a very luxurious stubble there.
Yeah, I call this facial hair. Facial hair. I wouldn't want a beard because I feel like they're unhygienic. You can get stuff in. They don't do it for me, so I would never go a bit any longer than this, I don't think.
But do you look at other men or women, because you are famously bisexual, just written a book
famously
about
bisexual, yeah.
Do you look at potential partners and think, does a beard sort of seal the deal for you?
You know what, absolutely not. I mean, it's been, since about 8 years since I've been on a date with a man, but if he had a beard, that just wouldn't do it for me.
Chloe?
It's disgusting. The beard is
Whoa.
the ultimate ick for me. I cannot date a man with a beard. That
Why?
is just a red line. It's disgusting. It's just a huge thing of pubes on your face, basically.
Oh, Chloe.
It's disgusting. And kissing a man with a big... it's disgusting. And then they get bits of food with it. It's unhygienic.
What about some stylish stubble,
Yeah, a little stubble, that is fine. And, we've heard here that men with beards are more likely to settle down with one woman. Well, I think that's because they're less attractive, so they can't find multiple women.
Paula, does the beard do it for you?
I don't like beards, per se, and for some reason, a lot of trolls on Twitter have beards. Like, I call them beardy weirdies. So, no, I don't like people that have proper beards. But, like, what you have is fine, yeah. But a proper beard, no. No. A lot of teachers have beards as well, and a lot of people on the left seem to have beards, so
I will say this, though, this whole idea of settling down, though, dads on the school run, I'm probably the one with the least facial hair. All of the dads on the school run, when I go to the nursery, they all have beards.
Are they older than you?
As well.
They're a bit older than me. No beer bellies, these dads that run with, they're like a sports pram.
Oh, hipster people have beards.
Oh, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
I see that on my nursery run. It's just, come on, leave it at home. If you want to go for a run, do it after you've dropped your kids off.
I multitask. I'm a dad, look.
Oh, look at me.
My beard that shows I'm a good loyal man.
OK, right, let's move on. It's time to reveal tonight's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. Chloe Dobbs, your Greatest Britain, please.
It's Jeremy Clarkson. He has bought a pub and is going to open it to sell local farm produce meals there. And the reason why I'm bringing him up is because he has had so much tenacity to keep on fighting back against that local council who just keep on giving him rubbish day in, day out. Every time he tries to do anything on his farm, they come for him. He can't even put a track on his farm about them saying, nope, you're not allowed that. And so the perseverance is very commendable.
OK, Lewis Oakley, your Greatest Britain.
Mine were the pilots at Heathrow Airport. So my little girl is obsessed with planes taking off. Begged me to take her. There we are. So we spent Saturday just watching the planes take off. So thank you for the free entertainment.
Where was this, sorry? Heathrow?
Heathrow, yeah.
I said earlier tonight, I love planes. I just love the idea. I mean, first of all, the technology and the engineering behind them, the fact that these, megaton aircraft filled with passengers and luggage that, just lifts off the ground so elegantly and beautifully. And actually, I'm not sure if we've got it, but I love pilots as well because I think they're very talented. I mean, a lot of it is, of course, autopilot these days, but we took a holiday a few months ago, me and my boys and the wife, and at the end of it, I didn't think they did it anymore, but the pilot allowed us into the cockpit. Jude, my 4-year-old, could have a sort of nose around, so yeah, loved it.
My daughter would love that.
Paula London, your Greatest Britain.
Hi, his name's Marcus Skeet. He's also known as the Whole Boy on Twitter. Absolutely amazing man. I'd love to meet him sometime. Basically, he's suffered with really bad depression over the last few years. He's been suicidal. He's lost a friend to depression, and he's decided to run to raise some money. Will train intensively for a few months. He's going to run a marathon in September or October, and he's never run before, so he's training really intensively. And because he's a larger chap, so he's been getting trolled by people like when he's running on the streets. But he's been very strong. He's not letting it deter him, and he's going to raise a lot of money for the Mind charity that really helps people. So yeah, good on him. He's an inspiration to everyone.
Good lad. Look, I had actually chosen the pilots to be tonight's GB, but after listening to you sell that, I mean, right, before we get into that, there's my boy, there's me and my boy in the cockpit. We found that picture. My mate Jude, there he is, beaming. Lovely. So I did pick the pilots of Heathrow, but Paula, I'm going to give it to your lad, Marcus. How old is he?
I don't know, but he's on my Twitter page, so if you want to check it out...
Is he watching tonight?
Hopefully. I didn't tell him, so it's a surprise, but I'm going to message him later so he can watch.
All right. I think you really sold it. I'd chosen the pilots because I love planes and I love aircraft, but after
he's such a lovely man. He's an inspiration to everyone. He's so humble and nice, so I love his page. OK, right, Union Jackass time. Who should we start with? Chloe Dobbs. It's going to be Ryanair and their Ramona CEO, Michael O'Leary, because there was a woman with a violinist who wanted to get on the plane. They made her sit around for 4 hours and then wouldn't let her on the plane at all because her violin does not fit the right square dimensions for a cabin bag, and they say you have to buy an entire extra seat if you want to bring your violin on the plane with you, even though it fits on your lap.
I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I know Ryanair, they have to make their money with all their add-ons, but to not let this amazing musician on a plane who was going to a big event just because she had a violin that's a little bit longer than the stupid cabin bag.
I saw something similar. I went to Austria on Friday. I saw something similar. I breezed through check-in. I just had a backpack, but some other lady was being sort of accosted by the airline staff, making her put her hand luggage into this, little box to make sure it fit. It didn't. They charged her 150 quid or something. So I guess that's how they make their money. Lewis Oakley, your Union Jackass.
Mine is unfortunately the Biden family. What is happening, I think, is genuinely quite cruel. They need to step in and help him out because the political system in the US is not gonna. They're not gonna be able to get rid of him. He has to go himself. And I wouldn't let my granddad run for local council. The pressure that's on that man, it's not right.
What do you reckon about Joe Biden? I mean, is he going to be replaced? I mean, it's extraordinary that normally with the Democrat Party, at least, there is so much universal support for their president. But in recent days, we've had, left-leaning Democrats supporting New York Times, the Washington Post, both running opinion pieces, stories on sources that Biden will be replaced. Is that a sign of anything?
I think the American system, they're all being paid. If he goes, there's so many people around him that go with him, and also all of his funding will go with him. All of the money that they've raised will go with him, and there won't be enough time to put someone else in. So I don't think there's going to be a system that gets rid of him, but he will have to go with his own will. And I think that the family that's propping him up, they really need to take a look at themselves. This is not good for him. Like, this is not good for someone that old to have all this pressure on, and to now have the world's media saying, look at the state of him. Yeah, I mean, that debate last week was something else, and I think Donald Trump actually felt rather embarrassed. I think he could have gone in for a real kill shot and really gone for him after his sort of stuttering and, not being able to finish sentences, but quite respectfully, I'd argue, he kind of said, look, I don't even think Joe knows what he's talking about. Yeah, when Trump thinks it's too far, that you're in a bad situation.
I think the Kamala Harris problem is a big problem. I think unless they can convince Michelle Obama to step in, because it's so hard to get rid of a woman of colour, I don't think that this Gavin Newsom guy is going to be able to take over.
OK. All right. Paula London, your Union Jackass.
Hi, so it's quite a strange story. It's a guy, I think it's from the north, and he decided to buy a fake police siren on Amazon, and he was driving around. Yeah, his name's David. So he was driving around in the north, pretending he was a police car. He put it on the top of the roof and was speeding past people. He was getting a kick out of people pulling over on the motorway, etc. And he got away with it for quite a while. And then one time the police saw him and thought he was an undercover policeman. Then they saw him at the traffic lights and thought, no, we don't think you are. Pulled him over, and he was lying, and he said he bought it from Amazon and he wanted to be a police officer. So in a way, it is a jackass thing to do, but it's almost kind of funny because he got away with it for quite a while, and the police did think he was genuine. But now he's in court and he's got community service, he got points on his licence, he's got a criminal record. So I just think it's funny, but it's a jackass thing to do.
OK, tonight's Union Jackass is Jill Biden, because, I am not a Joe Biden fan whatsoever, but when you see the litany of gaffes that Joe Biden has committed, not just in that debate last week, but over the years, running up these steps to Air Force One, falling over 3 times, being ushered, in the right direction because he doesn't know where he is, trying to shake people's hands who aren't there or someone he's already shaken, confusing the Russia invasion of Ukraine with the Iraq war, saying that his late son, Beau Biden, was killed in Iraq serving for the military. Just all insane stuff. And, even if you don't like Donald Trump and you believe all the conjecture about him being, orange man bad and whatever else, really? Joe Biden, Lewis Oakley?
It's cruel. It's cruel what they're doing. We'll look back and think, how do people allow that to go on?
He's still being selfish. He should step down himself. He's compass mentis enough to know that he's not really the full ticket anymore. He's got cognitive decline.
But if your wife is telling you, no, you're doing great, you answered all the questions.
No, but he knows himself. He knows himself, and he's being selfish because he's risking people's lives, really. If
everyone around you is on the pay packet and is being basically, if you go, then I'm going to lose my job, I won't be able to afford my kids, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of pressure. You don't know why he's saying. So someone needs to step in and say, look, this is the right thing to do. Stop listening to everyone else. I am your wife and
if
kids.
he works at Tesco's, he wouldn't be fit to work. So how can he be the president?
All right, sorted out, Jill Biden, tonight's honorary Union Jackass. That's all for tonight. Thank you for bearing with us. As you know, we haven't been able to talk about politics because of the election. Interesting topics, to say the least. But look, in the next 5 minutes, we're going live to our extensive election coverage all through the night. It's going to be a cracker. Stick with us.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather. on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News and weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain in the south to come on Friday. A bit of a drier day though further north, and it will be a little bit calmer than today. We've had low pressure in charge through today. Still going to bring some windy weather to western areas of Scotland through the night, as well as some further rain. And it's actually into the southwest we start to see the next batch of rain arrive through this evening. So clouding over for parts of South Wales, southwest England. Drier ahead of that, we'll see some spells of clearer weather as well for parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England as well. Here temperatures could dip down a little, but for most of us it's going to be a fairly mild start to the day on Friday. And there will be quite a lot of cloud around, quite a bit more than today across central and southern areas of England, where there will be spells of heavy rain at times. Most of us will just see a lot of cloud around and drizzly rain through the day, but there will be some heavier pulses, particularly as we head into the Friday evening as well. Further north though, much drier and clearer, and actually across western Scotland, yes, there's still quite a lot of cloud around to start the day on Friday, but there'll be fewer in the way of showers, so I think quite a bit drier, and with the winds lighter it won't be feeling quite as fresh. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher through Friday here than today. Now further south, this band of rain will wiggle and wave through the day, but it will linger for much of the day across the far south coast, though it could turn a bit dry for parts of the Midlands, North Wales, much of northern England as well. And in that sunshine, it won't feel too bad. Temperatures climbing a little bit higher. We've got 20, possibly 21 degrees in the best of the sunshine. The winds will be lighter as well. Looking ahead to Saturday, it's staying fairly unsettled. That rain will take a while to clear the east coast, and then it will be replaced by a mix of sunshine and some pretty heavy, possibly thundery showers through Saturday, and temperatures again a little bit below where they should be for this time of July. And that theme generally continues into Sunday, though next week it does look like it might slowly start to warm up a little. See you later.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
£30,000 in tax-free cash really could be yours. It's our biggest cash prize of the year so far, and you could be getting that winning call from us to tell you that you're our next Great British Giveaway winner.
You're joking. Really? Seriously? It's not a wind up, is it?
Oh, flipping heck. Oh, dear.
Oh, my God. This is amazing. I'm in shock. Like I said, I've never won anything like this. That is absolutely fantastic. Over the moon. Thank you.
For a chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2, or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In World War I, 309 men from Britain and the Commonwealth never came home because they'd been shot at dawn. The majority were killed for desertion, cowardice and sleeping at post. Appearing at their court-martials and told they'd brought shame on their country, these men had no opportunity to defend themselves and were executed by a firing squad. The National Memorial Arboretum launched a fundraising campaign to restore the memorial, which has stood for more than 20 years.
Thank you to your viewers for their support for the fundraising campaign. And thanks to the generosity of so many people, we've been able to replace all 309 of the posts that represent those young men that were shot in the First World War. Restoration of this really precious memorial.
The centrepiece of the memorial is the young soldier, blindfolded and facing his execution. In September 1916, Private Harry Farr was ordered to the front. Already suffering from shell shock, he was overwhelmed and refused his orders. He was court-martialed, and in a trial lasting only 20 minutes, he was sentenced to death. On the day of his execution, he faced the firing squad without a blindfold. Janet Booth is Private Farr's granddaughter and was part of the public campaign to have those who were shot at dawn officially pardoned.
When I asked my gran, do you know where I could find Harry's grave? And she looked at my mother, and there was this sort of look between them, and then she said, well, he hasn't got a grave because they didn't warrant, he deserved one because he was shot as a coward and had let his country down. We can come here as a family and pay our respects to him, and also for all the other families, it's somewhere to come and remember their loved ones.
The People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 9:55, live across the United Kingdom. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Well, in just a few minutes, the polls will close and you will have decided who gets the keys to number 10. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Camilla Tominey. The excitement of election night starts right now.
Live across the United Kingdom, this is GB News Vote 2024. The people decide.
Tonight, history will be made, and by the morning, we may have a new Prime Minister.
Well, over the coming hours, we'll bring you all the results as they happen, and we're going to have some fun along the way.
Good evening, welcome to Essex for the GB News General Election Watch Party. I'm Patrick Christys.
And I'm Michelle Dewberry, and we're going to have live reaction to each and every result from our wonderful audience of GB News viewers right here from Essex.
Throughout the night, we'll be joined by some of the biggest names in British politics. From 10, Sir Brandon Lewis, James Heapy, Jeff Hoon, Gloria De Piero and Callum Robertson.
Plus, former Shadow Minister Luciana Berger, the former chairman of the Conservative 1922 Committee, Sir Graham Brady, and former Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng will be adding to a stellar cast right here in the studio.
Here in the Data Hub, as each result comes in, we'll be analysing and dissecting every moment. As the results build up, we'll be making and refining our GB News prediction on who could be forming the next government, what the scale of that majority could be, and who becomes our next Prime Minister.
We'll have GB News coverage across the UK, every nation and every key location.
In around 1 hour's time, we'll get the first result. It could begin to give us an idea of where the vote is going. I'll be bringing you my analysis of every key moment.
We'll be live at all the key counts throughout the night, including with each of the party leaders. Will they all win their seat?
Do not miss a moment for the next 12 hours, uninterrupted, right across the UK, and of course, right here in our election night party.
Yes, that's right. Get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!